at the same time. As a man, you a force. You understand me? So when somebody opposes you, disrespects you, do something that's not in alignment with your values, right, in your space, and that's when you just check it. You understand me? You can either remove yourself from the situation or remove them from the situation. You get choices in life. You understand me? But I think that as long as a man is thinking, he's in control. Right? It's typically when he start getting emotional, and I was always taught that man is supposed to rise above emotions into the thinking of a God. Right? And God is not emotional in that sense. He's thinking with logic and order. So the moment that I'm thinking, I'm strategizing. That's when I'm in a dangerous zone. That's not emotional control. That's me thinking about what my next step is. The lowest tier of consciousness is just thinking from your own perspective. Right? The higher you go up in thinking, now I'm thinking about what other people are thinking. Now I'm thinking about what they're thinking about me. Now I'm thinking about what are my precepts, right? What are things that I am blind of that I can't see? The difference that separates us from man from animals is our ability to reflect on ourselves, right? Animals know something too, but they don't have the ability to know what they know. They don't have the ability to think about what they know. Man does. He has the ability to assess the situation, to assess others, to assess their shortcomings, right? I can understand what your programming is. I can understand what your default is, the way you see yourself in a group. The reason why you see me a certain way and why you may feel insecure in my presence. That has nothing to do with who I am. The anger that you feel inside your heart don't make me feel anything. Right? It's another reason why I forgive myself and I forgive others. Because you might be holding on to an anger and you feel what you feel is in another
Stop right there. Stop right there.
And it's not.
Right,
what we gotta do, we gotta use
wait
my
a
wisdom.
minute, brother. We gotta stay right there. We try to teach people tonight.
Yes, sir.
So we gotta give them a chance to
if you want to
comprehend.
know one of the things that pissed me off is
Right.
getting cut off. But we good, though. I got emotional regulation.
But you got to rise above that.
Yes, sir.
If you can't rise above that, that's the test.
That's why we talking through a conflict resolution.
All right, he said something that's really powerful. We got to comprehend what you're saying. All right, now when we come to your podcast, you can control that. So, listen. He said, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. How many in this room, in my book, I wrote a chapter on forgive yourself. Not somebody else. We've been taught, this is what we say. Dr. Henry, this is what y'all say. Well, you're an MP, you're not a therapist, but y'all say, you got to forgive others so you can free yourself. You got to forgive yourself so you can free yourself. Because you're the thing that's holding yourself bondage and hostage over something that you shouldn't be still holding on to. So tonight, I want all you brothers in here that need to forgive yourself for something. So you made a mistake. Guess what? So what? So you went to jail. You know, I got guys that they've been in jail, but they went to jail. I got a brother that went to jail for 27 years. He's a multi-millionaire. I got a person, so what, you cheated? Don't still be cheating. Forgive yourself. You got to do some different stuff. If you ain't been in your kid's life, get in your kid's life and forgive yourself for the years you didn't take care of them. Because the one thing about me, if you're a black man, you didn't take care of your kids. And if you ain't taking care of your kids, you ain't a man. I don't care if you agree with that or not. I'm going to let you know. If you got kids, if you laid down and had a baby, you need to go take care of it. But you got to forgive yourself. Let yourself be free of what you're holding yourself onto. Because you can't get mentally free if you're still holding on to something. It's got you in bondage. So you can't even get your true power because you're holding on. All right, my teacher, you have it back.
I think you broke it down to an atom, man.
So 19, Keys, have you ever had something that you held on to, and when you realized you held on to it too long, that you should let it go? A friend, a job, or something? Something that you held on, you said, I held on to that too long.
You know, it probably was the potential I seen in my own brothers. I think I tried very hard to unify as consistently. But I realized that the potential you see in others is not real. It's what you would do if you was there. right? And so they'll try a very long time to work with them, to organize them, to get them to unify, to get them to build with me. I got 6 brothers, you never see them with me, right? They all got their own thoughts and ideas and egos and ways that they move and issues that they have. And so that hurt my heart for a very long time until I started to have that realization, like that's who they are, right? I can't force them to see something in themselves just because I see it. I can't force them to be what I want them to be. And so I had to release that, right? And then I was able to move lighter. I don't owe them nothing. They don't owe me nothing. But it will be powerful. We was able to build together. And you start understanding that brotherhood ain't just attached to who are bonded with you by blood. You understand who connected with the same values, mission, vision, purpose. Obviously, there's some level of disconnect in their heart and their ego to why we can't work together. Because it's not in mine, right? And so a lot of times that should become competition. Well, we really could take over, right? I look at my brothers, we grew up very militant as soldiers. They all considered themselves to be somewhat gangster. So I felt that if we moved together, we could take over any space we wanted to. And just the dynamic of them seeing us together would be powerful. But for me, like the idea of healing or forgiving something, it really comes to getting clarity on it, right? Most of the time, we just don't have clarity on things, right? And most of the time, we don't spend enough time thinking about the why, right? We keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over because you're trying to satisfy a feeling, right? And so you have to get a correct vision on what the circumstances are. Me and my brothers all grew up, even though we grew up together somewhat, we still had all different lives, right? They had different turning points of what they think and who they think they are. And me rising to my level of acclaim, they may have started projecting themselves against that, thinking that that's what they need to be instead of just working with that. So now you become this celebrity, you become this entity, you become this person with money instead of just becoming your brother, right? And so letting that go, that's what allows me to now move freely.
Ooh, that was some powerful stuff. Let's give him a round of applause. How many of you, Kenny?
Yes, sir.
You got something you got to let go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I'm still struggling with sometimes the temptation to go backwards and go into rooms the way I did before I got to a level of understanding of exactly who I was. You know, I sometimes like to take this have this whole, humility thing where, nah, I'm not who y'all think I am. No, that's that. Like, I'm the president of a national organization that is coined the nation's #1 organization supporting black men and their families. So when I walk into a room, you darn right, I'm gonna have my head held up high and talk my talk because I know the work that I'm doing is life-saving and changing this world.
That's right.
So why would I get in the way of even thinking anything other than the fact that you and I need to find a way to work together because the work that I'm doing with or without. So I've been challenged by JG to continue to walk in that because he see it. He'll hit me and be like, I noticed in certain rooms, you're not the same Kenny Hampton. Yeah, because the athlete, the former athlete in me, I can go in any athletic space and I can kill it. Because I can talk that talk, I've done my work, I've got the experience, I've got the exposure. But in some rooms, when I'm not in that space, I try to sometimes kind of shield myself and maybe be a little bit less talkative. I've earned the right to be in the room and say, absolutely, I belong in this room, and I'm gonna walk in that. And so I've had to shed that, but I had to get vulnerable, fellas. I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing weak about being vulnerable at all. And there's nothing weak about being in a space of being a mentee. I would love to be in a space where, yes, I've arrived and I got my own thing, but right now, God got me in a place and I'm in the leadership, in the guidance of some incredible leadership that is telling me, hey, I'm giving you the game. So the #1 thing I gotta do is to continue to walk in that. And the fact that I'm doing that, fellas, every single day I wake up, I'm free from all of the negativity, free from all of what the comments are saying. I got some people hating on me every single day. JT, we sometimes laugh about it, but I don't let that bother me anymore because I'm no longer people pleasing. The only person I'm trying to please is that person in the mirror every single day. As long as he's smiling, I don't care what none of y'all think because I know I'm on an assignment. I know that I'm being obedient to the calling that's on my life. And I know at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So when this is all said and done with me, it's only me and one other person that's going to look at me in the eye, and all I'm going to hear is going to say, child, well done, thy good and faithful servant. So that's what I'm on, fellas. And I encourage you tonight to find whatever your calling is and to release yourself from any type of self-inflicted negativity. And so I want to ask you, Keys, this. You talked about the power in being vulnerable as a black man. I want you to really enlighten us tonight on when you got to a place where you started realizing that there's power in that and why other brothers tonight should start walking in that.
I think it's fear that keeps you from being vulnerable.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? So if you consider yourself to be a man of strength, then you will release the things you fear. Right? I think fear is like an entity you walk with, and you have to replace that walk with power. Right? The only way to challenge fear is with courage. Courage means that the fear is not absent, but I still challenge you. I still walk forward even though I know the path is scary, and that's where you get growth. But vulnerability, you understand me, is a state of power. When we look at people that have amassed great influence, it's because they show vulnerability and strength. They show a spectrum of what it means to be a human, right? I don't care if you know my flaws. That don't mean you can use against me to win, right? That would be your mistake. Because I might have just showed you my vulnerability on purpose to see what you'll do with it. You understand me? And then if I'm showing you that, that means I'm already past that. It's not a trigger, right? It's something that I've already educated, became, and developed an understanding on, and now I have a level of self-awareness. I remember there was people around me tried to use triggers that they thought would bother me because it did when I was a child. But as an adult, that shit don't matter. I've already worked through that. I've already understand that this is your moment trying to use it. That's your weakness because you feel like I'm at a level that's too high.
Wait a minute. We got some good stuff right there. Some good stuff. Triggers. People be trying to, but first of all, the scripture says there's a friend that's sticking closer than a brother. So sometimes you got friends that's going to be closer than your own brother.
That's a fact.
The second thing is, people do use your triggers. Let me tell you that, I'm going to give you an example. My barber is here. Where are you at? Stand up. And who's my best friend too. And for years, every time I came into his barbershop, he would tell people how arrogant I was. Well, I ain't really arrogant, I'm just confident. And just because you got low self-esteem, don't mean I gotta be here with you. And so, he would tell everybody all the time, he is so arrogant. So one time, you get exposure, you find out stuff. So I bought a watch, it was called a Virtu. And the Virtu, it's a phone. It's called Virtu. Well, the phone is about $8,000. And I'm a young black guy, I ain't know, and I don't sell drugs. I'm in the business, so I'm coming in telling everybody at the barbershop, hey, y'all ever seen this phone before? Now, I'm excited. He gonna say, oh, you just bragging because ain't nobody else can afford that phone. I'm like, dude, I'm not bragging. So then I come in one time, I say, hey, dude, I've got a TV interview. Can you cut my hair? No, you can sit over there and wait for 3 hours. I was like, dude, I'm tipping you $100, $200. I need to go first. No, I'm going to be considered because you think you're better than everybody because you can pay your way through.
That is not the story, fellas.
I'm like, dude. So one day I just went to him and said, because I heard him tell somebody that we was good friends. And I went to him and said, there's no way that we could ever be good friends. Because the way you describe me, when I come into your shop, I said, dude, I don't think I'm arrogant. I said, do you see your shop? I come down the steps to get a haircut. I could go to some fancy salon and get a haircut, but I'm choosing to come to you because you're a brother. And I like you. So I had to take the triggers off of him because he was triggering me to feel some way about myself. So I'm going around thinking, oh, people think I'm arrogant. People think, I said to myself, I'm really, personally, y'all don't know. I don't care what you think about me. Because you don't sign the front of my check. I do. I don't sign the back. But you got to remember, there are things that people are going to do to trigger you. If you're married, and your wife You know, she gonna say that word always and never. Or she gonna say, you remember when you did something. You have to take that power away from people. Because if you don't take that power away from people, you always, your parents, you know what, I told you that before, my kids. My son, who went to private school, went to live in Paris, did a whole bunch of stuff, told me, you treat us like shit. I said, like shit? He said, yeah. And you know what I had to end up telling him? Dude, I did all that I could do to make sure you have a great life. I stayed married to a woman who I did not like, trying to make sure you have a two-family household. I put you in private school. You got caught shoplifting twice. I made sure you didn't go to jail. You went to college. You was trying to sell drugs. Wasn't even a good drug dealer. I then sent you to Paris to live because you asked me to go. You went there. I said, I treat you like shit. You know what I had to tell my son, who I love? I said, fuck you. I said, if what I did for you wasn't good enough, fuck you. And you can go on. And he said, by the way, my sister and brothers feel the same way. I said, okay, I'm gonna call them too. And I called them up and said, if that's the way y'all feel, they said, Dad, we ain't say that. So you gotta get to a place in your life where you don't give people power to trigger you. What you did in the past, and you said, I'm sorry, and you done moved on, and they stuck, sometimes you gotta let people go. Sometimes even the people, some of your boy, you know, my boy, you know, that's my nigga. You know how y'all do that? You gotta let them go.
Hey, JG, I think I definitely gotta share a quick testimony on that as far as the triggers. So just recently, within the last like 48 hours, and I actually shared, it's funny if you listen to JG when we having these real and real talks, if y'all ain't picked up on it yet, these references, these are like real situations, these are stories. So sometimes the characters are in the room, right? I found myself in several of his stories tonight, but the one that he just shared regarding like the nevers and the always, I had to keep it 100 with my wife a couple of days ago. Because she got to a place where we about to be married going on 18 years in November, next month, right? And so, appreciate that, fella. But I had to let her know, the Kenny that you married is not the Kenny that's on this phone right now. And there's some words that you just used that I'm gonna say this very, very clearly to you. Don't you ever talk to me that way again. I said, because what you just said, that used to be a trigger for me. And I'm using the words used to because I'm not giving you that power anymore that you once had that would take me down a downward spiral, and I had to do it behind closed doors. Okay. And see, that's where I had to like get to a place where I'm like, hold on, I'm giving people way too much power because I'm dealing with this in my private moments. When the wife and kids are asleep, I'm the one that's up at night crying like a baby, hating who I am, and hating that I'm subjecting myself to this idea of somebody else's perspective of my life. When I know how hard I'm working to be the best version of myself, to be obedient to a calling on my life, I had to let her know, so hold on a second. Not a wife, not a mother, not a father, not a daughter, not a son, not a brother, not a sister, not a cousin is gonna ever talk to me like that and think for 1 second that it's gonna penetrate.
That's powerful, brother.
She said, deliverance, didn't you?
Oh, like it was nothing?
Let's give that brother a round of applause.
I appreciate that, Tony. I had to share that with y'all because too many of us, I know for a fact, if it's not your spouse, there's a significant other in your life that we have allowed to get to a space that close to who you are to actually say something that can really take you down a downward spiral, and we cannot continue to let that happen as black, strong men.
All right, so right now, we almost done, but we're gonna open it up because I want some brothers tonight that's gonna say, you know what, I'm dealing with this and I want to be free of it. We're gonna let some stuff go. So I want you all to take a minute and think, what is it, 2026 is coming up. And you're gonna leave some stuff behind. You're gonna be, as the Bible says, forgetting those things which are behind us. We press toward the mark of the prize. You know, I have a situation, I'm a struggle. You know, Dr. Henry's gonna be mad at me. Because the last time I had a real situation at work, we had a knockdown, drag, got blow out. You know, the brothers that work for me, they know that, hey, I'm gonna keep it real with them. I got an organization, I have over 250 employees. So I said I was gonna bring it up tonight. I got 70 black men to work for me. 70. I got ex-offenders, I got people who don't have college degrees, I got PhDs. I got them all. I don't care what it is, I'm gonna give you a chance. And they've given lots of brothers a chance. A lot of brothers. I got a white man. I got white people work too. But I got a project right now. The white man is working for me. Every piece of the project he's supposed to have done, he has done. And every student in his school, he has seen. I said, how is it that I got 70 niggas working for me and they ain't outdoing this white man who I'm paying, and I know how much I'm paying him, and I know how much I'm paying them, and they acting like I ain't supposed to be mad. I got a brother who signed in and clocked in for 20 days from his house. Then we have geofencing. And he signed in, he's supposed to be at work at 9:30. He signed in at 9:30 and got to work at 11:30. And when I asked him about it, he was like, oh, my supervisor said it was okay. And I ain't supposed to be mad. I'm giving brothers chances, opportunities. I'm helping them pay it. I'm helping them. They come to me, they say, JG, can I get a couple dollars? I say, yeah. Well, how much you need? $2,500. All right, here. You ain't got to pay me back. Don't worry about it. Go take care of this. But I got a white man who's outperforming them, and I ain't supposed to be mad? And I ain't even mad. I just said, I'm going to have a whole white staff. So, I'm going to let that go. But Dr. Henry, I'm going to let it go. But Dr. Henry told last time we was on the tape, and Dr. Henry said, I know you ain't talking to me. He cut the tape off. He said, hold up, what are we doing here? I said, we have a real talk. He said, no, he ain't. Hey, Dr. Henry, how'd that make you feel? Is that fact? How'd you feel, Dr. Henry? You didn't speak to me for 3 days.
I think that we've made up, JG.
How do you feel? No, real talk. Share with us.
Pissed off.
How do you feel?
Pissed off.
Why did you feel pissed off?
Because he's an MD, and nobody ever talked to him like that.
I felt disrespected. Honestly, right? So, like I said, I paused, I responded, and didn't react. But, maybe it wasn't disrespect necessarily, right? Maybe it was a call to action. Right. So I really believe that the work we're doing is powerful.
Yeah, that was good.
That we can put differences aside for the greater good. So we're good.
Yeah, before we transition from that. So there's a powerful thing that just happened with that situation. So he felt that it was disrespect. And so I've been in that space where you can easily lie to yourself and tell yourself that you've arrived to a space where certain information you are like, I don't need to hear that. Listen, when somebody is in your life that loves you enough to tell you the truth about yourself, because the conversation was very objective. It wasn't personal. It wasn't subjective.
It was kind of objective.
You said what?
It was kind of objective.
Kind of objective. For the most part, it was objective. Brothers, I want y'all tonight to really take heed to the fact that when somebody is trying to pour into you, get out of your own way. I promise you, there's freedom on the other side of us not feeling like every time somebody is checking us or seeing better than ourselves than we see in ourselves, get out of the way, because what's happening for you is something that you asked for. You just didn't know it was going to come in that form. Yeah. You didn't know it was going to come from that messenger. You didn't know it was going to come in that delivery of message. But that message was for you to hear so that you could be the best version of yourself. So, Dr. Henry, you still here, right?
Still here.
And we still doing this work, right? That's what love looks like.
JG still here?
Let's go.
JG, you still here? You came back with a bigger position. All right, brothers, we're gonna open up. Because, hey, everybody repeat after me. 2026?
2026.
It's gonna be out of this world.
It's going to be out of this world.
2026, guys. 2 and 6 is the number 8. 8 is, if you go to the Jewish calendar, they always did things by numbers. 8 is the number of new beginnings. So next year, I want you all to start to You know, and now, instead of making resolutions, I don't believe them anyway, but in September, they say, hey, whatever you was going to say you was going to do next year, instead of saying it in January, you're going to say it in September. So I want you to think tonight, and I want you to stand, and I don't want you to stand up and tell us your sermon. I want you to say, I say it. I, in 2026, is going to let this go and do this differently. And so is there any brother is ready to just proclaim a different lifestyle, a different path? And y'all know I can't see, so.
Yes, sir.
Anybody?
We got any fellas in the room that want to share about what you want to do differently, or you maybe you already decided to make that decision to do
Or
something
maybe you need some
different.
help.
Or maybe you need some help. My brother over to the left.
I want to let go of procrastination. It's just like procrastination and self-doubt.
What's up?
Yes, sir.
Brother Keys,
Yeah.
so what does he need to do to let go of procrastination and self-doubt?
I think procrastination comes from thinking about how much effort you got to put in versus thinking about the reward you get out of it. Wow. Right? So most of the time when you're thinking about doing something, damn, that's going to be a lot of work. It's the association you have toward thought, negative or positive, right? Which then informs your attitude, and that attitude informs your action, right? So if you can continuously hold in your mind, what is the reward I'm going to get for finishing this particular action, then it will make you go towards it. Anything that we do in life is just about how we feel about it, what we think about it, right? So therefore, if I'm holding on it, and then a lot of people, they think that motivation, right? Or they think that effort comes from motivation when motivation comes from effort, right? Meaning that the getting started is what makes you feel psychologically good about something. But a lot of people have it backwards. They need a motive to take action. They're waiting to hear certain words. What's going to get me started? That's speaking your emotions to me. I grew up in an environment, FOI, rooted Islam, you understand me, Oakland, California. It was all militancy. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how somebody talks to you. You might get taken to the back and the brother stumped you out for doing something like you just said on post. You understand me? Brother clocked in late, then he was just caught, right, talking to some woman. Then there was a breach on the security. Brothers will hold that, slide a note to the brother, and then at the end of the day, now I'm like, this is what that brother did. They bring him to the front and center. Now explain yourself. Why? Because you messing up a whole entire contract that we have, right? And now you've already, shown us that you're ready to disrespect us. So not only you might get your ass whooped, we'll give you an opportunity if you're willing to correct yourself afterwards, right? Everything about what we did was about making men sharp. You understand me? Steel sharpens steel, right? And so procrastination is weakness. You understand me? It's when a person is in their emotions, right? Talking about, I don't feel like doing something. Who cares if a man has to operate his life by how he feels, he become a woman. You understand me? Women are in their emotions about things. They have so many options. Should I do this? Should I pick this color? Man is based on logic. It's going point to point to point. Right? I'm going to start and I'm going to finish it. What does it say in the Bible? Be it is. When a man is bonded by his word, every word that he says turns into an action. Right? And when that word turns into an action, now you start to have self-belief. And then that self-belief, you start to love yourself because you love the type of person that you are. You develop a better attitude towards self. And your attitude is your disposition towards things. Right? So when somebody plant a seed in your ear, like Keys, now you got an attitude towards me, not because of something I did, but somebody programmed that attitude and those emotions and feelings that you associated with. So when you procrastinate, now you have a negative thought about yourself. You're programming negative thoughts within yourself. Right? So now you don't feel you deserve things. So if you don't feel you deserve something, even when you get it, as my brother was talking about humbleness, even when you get it, somebody give you a compliment, right? You'll shy away from it. Nah, that ain't me, man. Because you don't feel like you truly deserve it. You're not feeling like you're absorbing it. So you're going to self-sabotage. Because if I don't deserve it, right, then let me go back to my baseline. Everything goes back to your self-image and the story that you tell in your mind. What is the narrative that you play out daily? If you can control the narrative in your mind, you can control the reality that you live. Right? So when we start talking about abundance, do you think you deserve abundance? Do you believe that you're the type of person that deserves abundance? Because I talked to these children earlier and I say, what's the size of your brain? They be like, it's like this. And I say, what's the size of your mind? And they say, wait a minute. Mine don't have a size. And I say, do you have a mind? And they say, yeah. You've been limiting yourself by the way you feel about your physical features, not realizing you're a spiritual being at the same time, right? You're connected to the invisible spectrum of the universe. You have access to things beyond yourself, but we take on identities that strip our power because we don't believe we're enough. I'm this person with this title, with this job. That ain't really who you are. That's what you do. You understand me? If who you are has abundance in it, right? Now you can start building into that identity. Most black men in America just going through an identity crisis. That's all it is, right? And it's not complex enough to develop a level of consciousness within that person. Because it's based on a job, so you lose a job, I don't know who I am. You with a woman, you lose the woman, I don't know who I am. No, if I'm pulling on the experiences and things of who I am, it's based on how I grew up in the streets, based on how I grew up as a Muslim, based on how I moved this, based on the type of music I like, the language I use. Man, I can pull on 1,000 things that tell me who I am. And complexity develops consciousness, right? When you're simple-minded, it's easy to be manipulated and swayed in any direction because you don't know who you are. But when that identity is steeped in true values and core values that we spoke about earlier, you have a level of self-awareness, a level of self-knowledge when you walk through this planet Earth, and nothing bothers you, and they don't know why. Because that string you pulled was not enough to make me unravel. You get what I'm saying?
Amen. Hey, let's give that brother a round of applause right now. And so, brother, I want you to know that we have accountability partners.
Okay.
And so, your procrastination, you can stop it today. But you know what you can do? And this is what I do. I'm going to do something. You don't have to try to tackle the whole thing at one time. Tackle one little thing. Tell yourself that, you know what? I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock instead of 7, 8 o'clock. And do that. Be consistent with that. And then do something else. You know, I didn't get to where I was. Well, I did. I'm pretty smart. But I still had to get a discipline in my life. I still had to get a discipline. This is what I also had to do. I had to get rid of everybody tonight. Think about all the negative people in your life. Get rid of them tonight. Because one of the reasons why you procrastinate is because you don't have nobody in your life motivate you to push you on and tell you like, nigga, why are you still doing that? See, my friends that come to me and like me and Tony, we talk. He'll tell you, I told him on the phone, why you still doing that? Why you still doing that? You was doing that last year. Now you should be doing something different. So procrastination, you can break that. And you know what? And guess what? I want to tell you a secret too. I done had Muslims work with me too, and they got fired. So it don't matter whether you're a Christian or a Muslim. It's really about how you value and what's your core values in yourself. And I done worked with, when I say I worked with the Nation of Islam guys who were securing Elijah Muhammad. And I didn't have to work for them. And even they get emotional with all that strength they got. It's you individually gotta develop your own emotional perseverance as a man, as a person. Next question.
I was just gonna say, procrastination is the abortion clinic of genius. Right? As a man,
That's good.
our mind is supposed to give birth to things continuously. Otherwise, you can't tell if you're a man or not. Procrastination is the abortion clinic of genius, right? Or ideas, right? So when a man is well working, his mind is working. And a mind produces thoughts into reality. But in order to produce that thought of reality, you must concentrate, right? That means that you must, for a prolonged period of time, be focused. How long can you focus determines what you produce. We live in a world of constant stimuli and distraction, right? And so instead of getting that feeling of reward from producing something in reality, which is the highest level of euphoria that a man feels when he can birth something, when there's a business idea he has and he completes it, when there's a goal and he produces it. There's nothing more on this planet Earth that makes you feel more of a man. In lieu of that, when you don't do that and you procrastinate, you start seeking that feeling somewhere else. Right? So now I'm going to go out and socialize. Now I'm going to have sex. Now I'm going to scroll on my phone. Now I'm going to watch TV. Now I'm going to smoke a blunt. Right? Now I'm going to drink. Because you're trying to get that feeling, right, artificially, that you should be getting from activating that God within.
Hey, that was some deep. Y'all give it a clap.
Good stuff.
Brothers.
Let's go.
we got the end. We got 19 keys tomorrow. We're gonna talk about finances, and we got it here tonight, and we really do appreciate. What did you here say, Kenny?
Now, we have one brother as well. Actually, your barber had a question.
What? I know you're gonna have a question. What you got to say?
Hey, thanks again.
Now you gotta come get
Doctor.
a picture. You gotta come get a picture with him.
Doctor,
As much as you made me listen to him for the last 2 years.
Dr. Henry and a couple other brothers, man, identify what emotional intelligence is. When I hear of emotional intelligence, I think of man know thyself. I know you can go deep keys on a lot of things, from numerology to astrology, but how can a man work on his emotional intelligence? What path can he take to work on that?
That's a social worker degree.
Trust in yourself.
Question.
For me, silence, stillness, and darkness. Most of the time we don't sit still with ourselves. Just be in control of ourselves and review ourselves. I review my past, I review my present, I review my future. You can reframe and recontextualize things that happen to your life and rewrite stories, right, within your mind. But stillness is a level of self-control of your full bodily function. Because emotion is energy. Can you control your own energy, right? Then when you're talking about darkness, we were born in triple darkness in the womb of our mothers, right? We started in darkness. And so when you close your eyes, you're not processing information, you're going within. But most of the time, we don't take time to increase our capacity to think, to gain clarity and guidance from our higher self. We don't even know what we truly think about things because we don't have the time to, right? You have a day that's so goddamn busy that you're not sitting down, right, going into darkness and allowing yourself to be still, right? And in that stillness, that's when you start to have discipline, right? You can let yourself know if your attention span, they say the average attention span now is somewhere around 6 seconds. That lets you know what you can manifest, how you can think, because you can't get into deep work, you can't get into deep focus. So any project that requires that, you can't do. There's no greater project on the planet Earth than yourself, right? And so when we're talking about silence, silence is the greatest teacher on the planet Earth, right? The ability to just listen. What comes up, not to control it. I want to know what's going on inside of you. A lot of men are afraid what's happening inside of them. So they're trying to stay in the noise so they don't have to deal with what they're processing on the inside, right? So now we have a shadow self, right? That is that part of ourselves that controls us, that we sometimes ignore, and until you can recognize the problems that you have and face them, and then there's a level of integration with that. You know what? I do be tripping, I do be wild, I do have emotional issues, I do have traumas, I do this. You gotta be so honest with yourself. And that part is scary to most men, right? Because they think that other people can see that within them. This is why we don't like looking at each other, right? We don't want somebody to see what's going on inside, right? So we have our shadow self, then we have our private self. This is who we are with nobody around, family, friends. That's our truest version of self. Then we have our public self. This is the persona in which we want to be seen as. That's not who everybody is. It's the way we want to be seen. Clean, show up pristine. But that's because most likely on the inside, there's the opposite. So a man has to find alignment between that shadow, that public, and that private. The way you feel about yourself in private is that your true self when you're in public, right? And that misalignment is when you are by yourself and you're like, damn, these people respect me, but I don't respect myself. So now there's a disconnect, right? So if you can operate in saying that if my public persona start matching my private one, now you feel aligned. Now you become more confident. You understand me? Now you know yourself so deeply, nothing can trigger. So we talked about triggers, but triggers are just things you don't heal, and healing is just things you ain't learned from, right? Once you learn from something, you have power and awareness over that because you become conscious of that, right? So therefore, you have the ability to master yourself. So when we're talking about emotional intelligence, there's many different ways to go through that, but one of them that we talked about, a safe space, I believe, in a brave space. Because this is a brave space. right? You have to be willing to speak even if you don't feel safe, because that's what being a man is, right? You have to be able to practice that. So in every space, man, I only express myself when I'm around the brothers. Why? No, I express myself when I'm around these brothers, I'm around the crackers, I'm around my woman, I'm in public, no matter where I am, I'm going to be who I am because I know who I am. I believe myself. Every time that I speak, I can let it flow, right? And so at one level, it's just self-awareness, but deep self-awareness, embedded self-awareness. I do an exercise where I literally write down all of my adversities. I write down my traumas, I write down all the stories that I went through in life, right? But also write down my gifts, my skills, my talents, right? Writing those things down, the law of written clarity is when you write it down, 50% of the work is done. But a lot of times people ain't took time to put themselves in front of themselves. Put yourself on paper. Look at who you are. Decide what those things mean for you now, though. Because that person that went through them, they can only go through them that way because they have not learned to respond a different way. But you're not the same person that's in your memory, right? But a lot of people continue to treat themselves, right, the way they were, instead of dealing with themselves as they are. So for me, you can be mad at who I was, but not who I am.
Hey guys, give him a round of applause. And so he has just summed up the stuff that we talk about on a monthly basis. We provide this space on a monthly basis. And everybody can tell you that we've talked about, what we talked about from a therapeutic perspective is people have multiple personalities. And he didn't describe it that way, but at some point, like with me, I knew I had about 4 personalities. I had to merge them into one. Because I said, I can't be this person here, I can't be that person there, and this person there. And most people know I am my most authentic self. I'm JG all the time. So you're going to get JG when you see me, no matter who's in the room. Like I said, the President of the United States, or Bill Gates, or the drug dealer, you get JG. So tonight, did you guys enjoy this? Yeah.
You guys enjoyed 19 Keys. Go ahead and give him a round of applause.
You can see 19 Keys. We're going to have another fireside chat with them tomorrow. We're going to talk about financial. Tomorrow we have a financial wellness symposium. It's free.
19 Keys. We have to stay connected. That's so to go.
People may call
Let's
me
go.
all day asking how